Edmonton's roads, you never know what you'll come across. You can get a flat. As we have right here, she's down. Easy way to change it. It isn't that hard. Most bikes nowadays coming equipped with quick releases. So first thing you do is release the flip lever, and you have to spin this far enough to clear those safety catches. You can see now the wheel has been released. This bike happens to have disc brakes. They are very easy to work with. When you get to this point, when you got the wheel out of the bike, you're going to need a few items. Tire irons are definitely a must for most of you, unless you're feeling like Hercules and you got some good hand strength. A spare tube, of course, and then from there, a little bit of know-how. First thing you could hear that pop is just a little bit of hand strength breaks what's called the bead. It's when the tire is inflated, it seats into that position so it's secure. We're going to break that loose on the one side. We're going to take this valve cap off because we'll be removing the tube. And of course you will need a pump. Floor pump's best because it does have the gauge on it and you should inflate to a proper tire pressure. From there, as you can see, we've released this tire from all the way around the edge. It's only necessary to remove from the one side. You don't have to take the entire tire off of the actual metal rim. So what we're going to do is start here with tire irons. A lot of times I do this by hand depending on how soft the tire is, but the key is there's a little lip in there. You can see the tire is separate from the rim. Get that in there, and these little catches here help you hook it in place and leave it in place. So you got your first section started. The next thing you do is work your way around. A lot of tires are easy like this one is, and you can see I'm just going around, it comes off. Next thing is you're gonna pop that valve through, and you can see the valve is just inside of there. The tube is inside of this whole tire because this is separate, and this is what's gone flat. Now this one here particularly, we just deflated the air out of it, but you would get a new tube, take it out of the box, and inflate it so you can see it actually holds its shape a little bit. It's easier to work with. You're not working with this flimsy noodle. So we're going to reinsert the new tube. Just remember, this is a new tube now. Why did you get the flat? So we need to do some investigation. First thing you're going to do is you've got this tire. You can see I have it open. You're going to run your hand all the way around the inside of the tire and look for anything that's possibly punctured the casing of the tire. And you want to do that very diligently to find anything. Next thing is, if you haven't found anything there, look here. You might find that there's a little thorn or a big screw. You'll find it. Another thing that people do suffer and experience often is what's called a pinch flat. When the tire is too low and it hits a curb, it pretty much pinches the tube between the rim and the curb. Instantly you have a flat tire. Back to installing this though. Again, we're going to work this into spot, and we just got to make sure that we sneak this in here. Away you go. Now the next thing is lining up this valve stem. You can see I could just rotate this tube inside of here pretty easily. I'm going to line up that valve stem, sneak that back through, and you can see that come through fairly easy for me. Sometimes it takes a little bit of convincing. Next thing here is where it takes, this is the part that a lot of people struggle with, because if you overinflate this tube as you're seating this bead, you can actually pinch this tire tube just like that, like I am with my fingers. But guess what? It's not that tough. The tire is the tough part. The tube is just holding the air. If you pinch this hard enough against there with these irons, you can actually puncture the tube again. So you have to be very careful at this point because you want to continue to ride. You don't want to be sitting on the curb going through a handful of tubes. So you can see what I've done here is I've started at the valve stem. And we don't want this all the way through because we want that bead to seat back in there. So now we're going to work this all the way around. And this is where it takes a little bit of hand strength. Now, I usually tuck my hand up in here and get that tube to seat over in the middle so that there's no tube in here to be pinched. If you have the hand strength, you can work this on. And you can see I'm slowly getting this on. But like I said, some of these things are really tough. This is where it takes a little bit of care and attention. You sneak that tire iron up in there and you can slide this back and forth and feel there's no rubber in there that's sticking. And I'm going to work this up. And you can see it is pretty sticky and it wants to stay itself. So the next one here, I'm going to get that up inside of there and work that back and forth so that we're not pinching the tube, and gingerly hop that in, and voila, we have the tires seated, brand new tubes inside. Last but not least, we're going to grab our floor pump. We're going to pump this up. So again, pull that valve through all the way. So we just push this on here and we get that seated and we start pumping. And we are going to get air, and you can see I can lean that on there already. She's holding there. We're at 10 or 15 pounds pressure already. There is 2 valves in the industry, as I mentioned. This is the second valve. Again, removing the black cap, there is a lock. This lock has to be undone, then it releases the air. Away you go, pump it up. You're back riding, enjoying the sun. Take care.